In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make your African-inspired clay mask. So in the previous video, I showed you how to make your pattern or template for this. So you should already have that done. You're going to take a slab of clay that I'll provide you with, and you're going to, before you do any cutting or anything, just make sure that you can fit your pattern on there, okay? If you have any ends hanging off, you might have to, put it in a different direction or something, but before you do any cutting, make sure your pattern fits, and you can kind of just lightly press it down to make sure it stays in place. Then you're going to take a cutting tool. These are just made of wood. You're going to start out by just lightly retracing the mask. So you're not cutting into it yet. You're just using this to kind of draw, and you're going right along the outer edge of the mask, okay, as carefully and as closely to the edge as you can. Once you've done that, you're going to pick it up, and you can actually throw this away. You don't need this anymore. The next step is you are going to now, on that line, take the tool and press into it almost like you're cutting meat, okay? So you're really pressing into it, and as you take each piece, you're just going to take it and put it to the side. And I actually have a bag in the Clay Center. You're going to place it in that bag so that I can then re-wedge it for someone else to use later. So you're going to go around and cut on that line, piece at a time. So make sure you're cutting in a nice smooth line. Don't go like this. Okay, if you do that, you're going to get really sharp, cutted, jagged lines. Just do nice, smooth lines. And the clay is nice and soft, so this should not be challenging for you to do. All right. Now, once I'm done cutting this all out, the side that's facing up is actually going to wind up being the back of our clay mask. You're going to take an old pencil that I have in the Clay Center. You're going to write your name and your class code as neatly as you can. Now while you're doing this, the clay might kind of gunk up on the pencil. If that happens, just wipe it off. Now you want to do this deep enough so that you can see it, but not so deep that you wind up puncturing a hole through there. Okay, so the way that I have it here is if you can see it, but not so deep like this, because that's going to put a hole in your clay if you kind of see through there. All right, so now I'm going to take it and I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to dip my finger in. There's going to be cups of water at the Clay Center. If there aren't, just take a cup in the Clay Center and go fill it with water. Dip your finger in water, sorry, and you are going to just smooth the edges, okay? I usually recommend that you do this holding this up in your hand, because sometimes I see students smooth the edges while their clay piece is on the little plate, and they will actually smooth it so much that it will wind up sticking to the plate. So that's why I usually recommend you hold it in your hand. Now the reason why I'm doing this is not just to smooth it so that it looks nice, but also so that the edges are rounded, so that when it fires and it turns very, very hard, that you don't have these sharp edges that cut your fingers, which definitely can cut your fingers. So you want to kind of smooth those edges really nice, because this, when it fires, it will be kind of similar texture to glass. So nice smooth edges. Then I'm going to put it down, and now I'm going to get a sponge. I'm going to press it in my water, and now this part's really important. Wring it out until no more water comes out. You don't want to slop the water on there. Once you do that, you're going to just take it and just smooth the surface of your clay mask. Just the front, do not do the back, because that will wipe your name away. Okay, and then you can just put your sponge aside. Now you're going to You know what? I just realized I told you earlier in the video that you could throw this away. Don't throw it away yet. That was a major boo-boo on my part because we have to put this back on top of it because we have to retrace. So we're going to take a pencil in the clay center and just lightly go back over any lines that you drew. Now I usually recommend doing this from the middle out or top to bottom so that you don't forget which lines you went over and which you didn't. Whoops. So I'm retracing everything. Take your time a little more when you do it than I am. I'm doing it really quick so that this is a short video. Now when I peel it up, you're going to see that I'm going to have an impression of my design. Then what you'll do is you will go back in and retrace everything. Now I'm only going to do one half in the video just to make it a shorter video, but you need to do the whole thing. So you're not only doing half, you're doing the whole mask. All right. Now, once you've retraced everything, that's going to reinforce those lines. Now you can start to have some fun with the different clay tools. So there's a variety of different types of tools that I have in the clay center. I already showed you how to use the little knife. You're not going to be using that so much to cut, but if you would like to use it to add any texture to draw, you can certainly do that. So this is a great drawing tool. You can also use a pencil for this if you'd like. So we want to add more geometric patterns and more textures. Another thing you can use is there are forks there. Fork is really great just for taking and kind of press down lightly, and look how you can make these really geometric kind of lines that are all evenly spaced apart. You can also use the fork if you want to make dots, kind of a dot texture, which is really nice. So these masks are going to look really beautiful with the more texture you have on them. The more texture, the better, especially when we paint them. We're going to be using an oil pastel and watered down tempera paint resist, and textures look really beautiful with that. You can also take this little scratchy tool and do something similar to this. This also can kind of look like a wood texture, which we talked about. Traditional African masks are made of wood, so that might be really kind of nice to add in there as well. You can also take a blunt tool like this, or a rounded edge tool, and press down the sides. Don't press too hard, go about halfway into the clay, and that adds a really nice pattern around the edge of the clay. You can even do that in areas like this, add dots. Okay, so, and you can be creative too and kind of come up with your own things, but these are just some different ideas that I have for you for adding your textures and patterns to your African clay mask.